Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so if you're aiming for a PhD in the United States, you already know the stakes are incredibly high. But here's the thing. Before you can even think about diving into comprehensive exams or defending a dissertation, you have to pass a completely different, often unspoken test, and that is the first outreach email. Contacting potential supervisors is quite literally a make-or-break moment. Yet, so many absolutely brilliant students unknowingly fall into these traps that practically guarantee their emails will just be ignored. So today, we're demystifying the unwritten rules of U.S. academia. We're going to break down the most common mistakes students make when reaching out for PhD admission, and much more importantly, how you can avoid them to secure that critical first response.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The personalization problem. 2. Respecting their time. 3. Highlighting research fit. 4. Perfecting your polish. And 5. Next steps and resilience.
Let's start with Section 1, the personalization problem. Now, what's really interesting here is the absolute biggest trap applicants fall into, which is failing to properly research the professor. Look, the urge to cast a wide net is totally understandable, but sending out a mass generic email, that is the fastest way to get your application sidelined. Professors are experts in their specific niches, right? They can spot a copy and pasted email instantly. Notice the stark contrast here between a lazy approach and a highly strategic one. On the left, we have the insincere trap. I am interested in your research and would like to work with you. I mean, it says nothing. It proves nothing. But look at the pivot on the right. I recently read your article on language and identity among marginalized communities, and I was particularly interested in your discussion of linguistic resistance. Wow, that tailored approach instantly communicates that you've actually done your homework. It proves you aren't just looking for any supervisor, you're looking for this specific supervisor.
Another massive symptom of poor research is asking questions that are already answered publicly. Take a look at these examples. If you ask a professor, "What are your research interests?" or "Do you supervise PhD students?" or "What does your lab do?" you're essentially telling them that you couldn't be bothered to spend even 5 minutes on their department website. Information like this is almost always available online. Asking these questions instantly disqualifies you, simply because it shows a total lack of initiative.
Instead, you really want to show, rather than just tell, your genuine engagement. Check out this specific example of a thoughtful question. I noticed your current project focuses on migration and language change. Are you currently accepting students interested in ethnographic approaches to this topic? This is brilliant. It highlights that you've read up on their current work, and then it seamlessly bridges their ongoing project with your specific methodological interest. It invites a real conversation rather than just requesting a basic fact.
Moving on to Section 2, respecting their time.
To write a successful outreach email, you really need to understand the daily reality of a busy academic's inbox. This isn't just about being polite, it's a strategic necessity if you actually want your email to be read. We have to build some empathy for the professor here. They are balancing teaching, grading, writing grants, managing current students, publishing, and sitting in endless committee meetings. They literally receive hundreds of emails every single week. If you send a multi-page life story detailing everything from your childhood passion for science to your long-term retirement goals, it's simply never going to get fully read. It's overwhelming, and frankly, it demonstrates a real lack of professional boundaries.
And this brilliantly illustrates the exact 5-ingredient recipe for constructing the perfect outreach email. You don't need a novel, you just need these 5 steps. First, a brief introduction of who you are. Second, a quick note on your academic background. Third, your specific research interests. Fourth, and this is absolutely crucial, why you are interested in their work. And finally, you wrap the whole shebang up with one polite question about potential PhD opportunities. That's it. Keep to this structure and you provide all the necessary information without any of the fluff.
So if you want a hard target for length, here it is. 200 to 300 words. That is your sweet spot. Emphasizing brevity is the ultimate sign of respecting a potential supervisor's time. Think about it. A 250-word email can be read in under 2 minutes. It totally respects their busy schedule while still delivering a powerful, targeted message about exactly why you'd be an excellent addition to their lab or department.
All right, Section 3, highlighting research fit. A super common mistake applicants make is treating an outreach email like a standard resume dump. They forget that PhD admissions aren't just about who's the smartest. They are fundamentally about who is the best fit. There's a massive disconnect between what applicants think professors want to see versus the actual deciding factor. On the left side here, we see the standard trap, focusing only on your grades, your awards, and your certificates. And yes, obviously you need good credentials to get into the program, but the professor isn't the admissions committee. What they actually care about is on the right, how your interests connect to their research. They're looking for a research fit. They want a colleague in training, not just a list of impressive trophies.
So the crucial point is this. You must explicitly draw the line between your future potential and their specific ongoing projects. Don't make the professor guess why you're emailing them. Tell them straight out, working with you on X will allow me to develop my goals and Y. You have to clearly bridge the gap between your past achievements and your shared future research.
Which brings us to Section 4, perfecting your polish.
Listen, even if you have the absolute perfect research fit and you kept your word count tight, a lack of polish can sink your chances before you even leave the starting line. We are talking about the critical importance of a flawless first impression. You have to remember that this email is your very first sample of academic communication to this person. Look at these steps before hitting send. Proofread carefully. Use professional language. Double and triple check their name and title. I mean it. Calling a doctor Mr. or Mrs. is a massive red flag. And please, make sure your attachments, like your CV, are actually included. Grammar, spelling, or formatting errors create an immediate negative bias. If your email is sloppy, they're going to naturally assume your research will be sloppy, too.
Here is a concrete, highly actionable final step before you send that email. Ask a mentor or a colleague to review it. When you've been staring at a 250-word draft for 3 hours, your brain will literally start auto-correcting your own typos. You become blind to your own mistakes. Having a fresh set of eyes on your message ensures your carefully crafted email doesn't fail due to a simple, totally avoidable error.
And finally, Section 5, next steps and resilience.
We've covered the mechanics of the email, but we really need to address the emotional side of the process too. What happens after you hit send? This is perhaps the most important point for your own peace of mind. A lack of response does not necessarily mean a lack of interest. It is so easy to spiral into self-doubt when days turn into weeks with no reply, right? But remember what we discussed earlier about their busy schedules? Because professors manage hundreds of emails each semester, a non-reply is very often just a matter of bad timing. Their inbox might have been overflowing that particular week, or maybe they were traveling for a conference. It is rarely a personal rejection.
Let's move to a grand recap and see how this all builds into a really positive, actionable strategy rather than dwelling on the mistakes. Here are your 5 fixes for success. Number 1, personalize genuinely by showing you actually know their specific work. Number 2, keep it to 200 to 300 words to respect their time. Number 3, focus on the research fit, not just a resume dump. Number 4, polish and proofread to ensure a flawless first impression. And number 5, persevere professionally. Keep identifying professors whose work aligns with yours and keep sending out those beautifully tailored messages.
By avoiding these common pitfalls, you are already placing yourself miles ahead of the vast majority of applicants. You now have the exact blueprint to craft compelling, professional, and highly effective outreach emails. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. Look at the professors you are aiming to work with. How will you tailor your next email to stand out in a crowded inbox? Take these strategies, do your research, and go make that perfect first impression. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.